This is odd.
How was your time in LA?
It was nice.
You don't know what it is.
It was nice.
What is it?
No idea. I have no clue. Take one and pass it out. Take one and pass it out. I'm ready.
Good evening. Would you please rise? Tonight, Monday, July 23rd, 2018, Common Council meeting is now in session. Our invocation is by David Raori. Sorry about the pronunciation. Reverend David Raori, Christian Church International. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank you, sir, for the honor. And I believe this is the moment we want to present this meeting and our city to God. And my name is David, or Reverend David Waroy. And I came with my bishop, Reverend Andrew. And with all protocols observed, let us pray. Heavenly Father, we want to glorify, honor, and magnify your name tonight for the gift of life, and my Father, even the gift of our great city of South Bend. Tonight, Lord, we are gathered here, religious leaders, political leaders, God, those that are representing various departments and neighborhoods, because we love our city of South Bend. But we know, Father, that you know our city very well, and you love it even beyond what we can comprehend. So I'm here, Lord, as your servant to call upon your name, that tonight, Lord, let your glory fall upon our city. And let your glory, God, shine into every neighborhood. And when your glory comes, Lord, this city will never be the same again. Father, it will release your peace and unity among the leaders, God, among the churches, and among every single person. That is my prayer tonight. You are the Lord God, to whom David prayed that unless the Lord builds the city, they labor in vain that build it. And unless the Lord watches over the city, they labor in vain that Jehovah God watch over it. Let our work not be in vain. Come and help us, Lord, as we build our city and as we watch over our city. Be the first, Lord. We ask you, Lord, to Lord over our police department, to Lord, my Father, over this great church, over this great council, my Father, these common councilmen, bless them with knowledge, with wisdom, with skill, with the blessing of high-level understanding. I pray, my Father, that also your grace and your love will, Jehovah Father, penetrate their hearts as they go through the various issues brought before them. I pray for Solomonic wisdom, and God, when you prevail in this city, we shall be a thriving city. Our economy will go up, oh Father. Our schools will shift, oh God, and everything in this city will never be the same again. That is my prayer. So tonight, God, even the people that came with different issues and cases, we pray, Father, that your grace will prevail. That each of them, as they leave this place, Lord, they will live with their hearts satisfied that, God, you are a God of compassion. Father, we thank you because of those in our city that need really your help, those that need your deliverance, God. So we pray for the neighborhoods, oh God, that have experienced violence in the past. Tonight we say no more. No more violence. No more hatred. Father, we release a spirit of God that preserves life. We speak to our atmosphere, to our waters and to our source, that God, you will preserve life in this city, to the glory and the honor of your name. And it is in Jesus' name I pray. Everybody say amen. God bless you very much. Thank you for the privilege.
Thank you, sir.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. If you would, please turn your cell phones to silent. Ms. Fowler, roll call.
Councilmember Preston? Here. Councilmember McBride? Present. Councilmember Broden? Here. Councilmember Texture?
Here.
Vice President Davis?
Present.
Councilmember Gordon?
Here.
Councilmember Curley?
Here.
Councilmember White? Present. President Scott?
Present.
9 present.
Thank you. Report on subcommittee amendments.
To the Common Council of the City of South Bend, the subcommittee has inspected the minutes of the July 9, 2018 meeting of the Common Council and found them to be correct. Therefore, we recommend the same be approved.
Any motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. There's no special business and no report from city offices. I believe Susanna Fitzberg is in the audience for the mayor's. Thank you. Now I entertain a motion to rise and join the committee of the whole.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
The Committee of the Whole is now in session. This is the portion of the council meeting where the full council meets as a committee. During each ordinance, members of the public will have an opportunity to speak either in favor or in opposition. Your comments will be limited to 5 minutes per ordinance. With that, would the city clerk please read 1418?
1418, public hearing on an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and seeking a special exception for property located at 1619 South Michigan Street, Councilmanic District Number 1, in the city of South Bend, Indiana.
Is there a committee report, please?
It's from zoning and annexation.
Zoning and annexation, heard this earlier this afternoon and gave it a favorable,
This one was on.
unfavorable recommendation.
Thank you. Is there a presenter, please?
Yeah, hi, good evening. Jordan Wyatt of the Area Plan Commission. Offices are 11th floor of this building. The petitioner is requesting a zone change from the area outlined in red from local business, LB Local Business District to CB Community Business District, and seeking a special exception use for automobile sales. To the north of Carson Alley is a vacant business of LB Local Business District. To the east across Michigan Street are single-family homes, zoned MU, mixed-use district. To the south is a Family Dollar, zoned LB Local Business District. To the west across an alley are properties zoned LI, Light Industrial District. On site currently is a carry-out restaurant. Let's see. And there's a view of the property that shows the fence a little bit more because they requested variances for that. The site plan shows that the building and parking lot will remain. The parking lot will be used for parking for the restaurant and display spaces for the car dealership. The Department of Community Investment offers an unfavorable recommendation of this rezoning. They commented that it was out of character for the zoning could provide development standards that are out of character for this neighborhood. They proposed 5 written commitments that after the Area Plan Commission meeting, the petitioner agreed to. Those 5 were to limit the number of vehicles to 27, as shown on the site plan, in lieu of foundation landscaping, add 1 to 2 replacement trees of the public tree lawn, in lieu of providing full parking lot screening, provide landscape areas with 3-foot hedges at the northeast corner of the building and northeast corner of the lot, install landscape islands to separate the restaurant spaces from the display spaces, and bring the fence into compliance, which is the maximum 4-foot height in front of the building and no barbed wire. This comes to you with an unfavorable recommendation from the Area Plan Commission. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is there a petitioner? And we'll do questions for presenter and petitioner.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Bernard Feeney, 715 South Michigan Street, here in South Bend. I am here this evening on behalf of Amjad Ahmed and Jay Amr, who are owners of the property at 1619 South Michigan Street, doing business as Delta One. Currently, as area plan had mentioned, this particular piece of property is operating on its current zoning as a restaurant known as JJ Fish. It is one of 3 franchises operated by the owners locally. Another is on Lincoln Way in South Bend, and the third is on Edison Road near Hickory. We are asking for rezoning on this property to allow fuller use of the property, including used auto sales. The owners have offered commitments to accompany this rezoning in compliance with those recommendations by the Department of Community Investment on this property. The owners will commit to a maximum of 27 cars on the property at any given time. They will provide islands between the parking for the restaurant patrons as well as parking for the auto sales patrons. They will provide landscaping in front of the building and the tree lawn between the between the sidewalk and the curb, and they will remove the fence that is currently adjacent to the sidewalk and move it back even with the front of the building. The cars that will be offered for sale will be purchased at the Kalamazoo and Mishawaka Auto Auctions and be offered for sale on this site. The car lot will not, under any circumstances, be operated as a buy here, pay here used car lot. The cars will be financed through a finance company, and as I mentioned, they will be purchased at nearby auto auctions. The owners are, in this particular instance, looking for an opportunity to use their property more fully with the addition of the used car sales at this location. The change from local business zoning in this area to community business zoning would still remain as a buffer between the light industrial zoning on the west side of the alley and the mixed-use zoning on the east side of Michigan Street. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Sure. Any questions for presenter or petitioner at this time from council? Yes?
Question. Mr. Feeney, I'm sorry I was not here this afternoon for that, but what is your understanding of why there is objection to this?
My understanding of the objection to this particular attempt at rezoning this property is that there are already enough used car lots in the South Michigan area. At the meeting this afternoon, the neighborhood group was represented by an individual who indicated that there were 5 used car lots in this area. My count has it as high as 10, but it depends upon the boundaries that you use. My boundaries were Ewing Street and Sample. So, that may be a little larger than the boundaries that the neighborhood representative had used. We're dealing with a perception that another used car lot in this area will downgrade the area. It won't downgrade the area any more than the recent leaving of Sherwin-Williams Paint further to the south. That lot has already deteriorated to some degree. The weeds in that area are higher than normal for a given area. Sherwin-Williams does not seem to be keeping up a lot in anticipation of resale. So this is an addition to the area, an economic stimulus, but in this particular case, the owners would like to operate a nice, clean, used car lot with 27 cars on it maximum.
Are there issues regarding safety in terms of if all 27 parking lots are full, people eating there, buying cars, with only one way in and one way out? Are there safety concerns with that issue?
Actually, there's 2 curb cuts at this location. One on the south side of Bonnie Doon, and for some of you older council members, you'll recall that Bonnie Dunes was a circular affair where you came in at either of the Michigan Street curb cuts, went through to see who was there, and then left via the other one.
So therefore, if there were safety concerns, if everybody's there, fire problems, anything else, the people could evacuate without having a problem. That's your understanding?
Absolutely.
When it comes down to car dealerships and everything else, is there anything in the zoning laws that we have currently that prevent more car dealers from being there?
None so far as I know. There was a car dealer north of the alley within 100 feet of this location. That car dealer died, and the property is currently being offered for sale. Whether or not it's occupied by another car dealer following that use is anybody's question. We've already seen in that area conversion of a car wash into something different than what it was originally intended. Further to the south, on the east side of Michigan Street, is a car wash, or used to be a car wash, that is now a display area for vehicles in any state of repair.
I understand. Question for you. If it had been a zoning law that would have prevented car dealers from being in this type of zoning, would you have brought this to us?
No. Would have been a waste of my client's time and money.
Been a waste of your client's time and money. And so therefore, there's nothing in our current zoning laws that prevent this type of issue. Is that correct?
If the property is rezoned from local business to community business.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions from council?
Mr. Feeney, if you could, we're looking at a map here, some of us are. That lot to the north that you spoke of that was previously used as a car sales is currently zoned LB local business. Do you know how that was used under that zoning for car sales? It's my understanding that, so in order for your client to use this property for what they want to use it for, we both have to up-zone it and add a special exception. So my question, I guess, was how was a car lot able to operate in a lot that was zoned LB local business? Thank you.
That car lot predated any of the current zoning there. The car lot was Eddie Serra used car sales.
Gotcha.
The building was at various times painted beige, bright yellow, a stylized picture of Eddie on the south face of the building, but it is no longer.
Do you know if your clients have any plans for additional signage out in front to indicate from the site map, right? So it's from the site map, it appears that the front 4 spaces on either side of that north curb cut are to be used for customer and employee parking. What distinguishes the back part of that lot as a car sales?
The owners have offered the commitment in compliance with what DCI had requested, if you decide to rezone this, to provide islands in there that would differentiate between the restaurant parking and the used car sales parking.
I guess my question was more to what flags somebody that's driving down Michigan that there is a car lot in the back of this?
The sign standards for Bonnie Doon are still out front and could be used to advertise the existence of a used car sales in this area, provided the sign meets the sign regulations currently in effect.
And so if we're to upzone this to CB, do you know what those sign regulations are?
At this point, no, not exactly.
Okay. We have Jordan. There was a distinguishing remark about the sign requirements, moving from, development standards of the proposed zone, including sign regulations, could lead to disjointed development. Do you know what is the difference between the sign regulations, local business, LV, to community business, CD?
To be fair, that was a Department of Community Investment remark, so if there's somebody who's here, if you want to kick it to them, or...
Yeah, I don't think DCI is here, but if I remember correctly, for this site, it would go from 50 square feet of sign area to 100 square feet of sign area.
James Beard is here.
What is it?
He's in charge of all that.
We had a question from Councilmember Scott.
Mr. Feeney, if I look at this lot and the plans drawn there, you're saying 27 cars, no more than 27 cars. I'm counting 37 parking spots with, I believe, all the handicap. So that means there's 10 spots for how many people work there? Do they park there? And how many people running the automotive side, would they park there, plus customers? So are we divvying up 10 spots for employees and customers?
At any time that I've been down there, and the times that I've been to the site have been varied. There has been at most 2 cars on the site at any given time, but the number of spaces that we have shown is in conformance with the current requirements for parking on this site.
Okay, your 2 cars there, were those employees, or? See, what I'm trying to get at is how many employees for J.J. Fish, how many employees for the auto dealership, and then customers for J.J. Fish and also for the dealership.
The expectation, Mr. Scott, is that there are 2 employees for J.J. Fish.
Would they park there?
And they park there.
Okay.
And there are at most 2 employees for the used car sales.
Okay, all right. So 4 there, 6 left over for customers of various means.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions at this time? Seeing none, we'll move to the public portion.
I do have a couple questions.
Good
Sorry.
question? That's okay.
Yeah, so, Mr. Feeney, the referencing, because I think this straddled our revised parking ordinance, so is it current, when you reference being in conformance with our parking ordinance, parking standards, is that a revised parking standards for off-street? Or could somebody comment on that if you're not aware?
To be honest with you, Mrs. Broden, I'm not aware.
Okay. Can anybody comment from area plan?
Are you referring to the fact that we just passed that?
Right, yeah, and
the
it's
street-
straddled between when it was before.
The 27 in the parking lot plus those on the street?
Yeah.
You were saying, the ones on the street counted
Well,
in the
27, I'm assuming are not,
Those are display lots.
those are display lots.
Correct.
So does the 10 meet the revised
When this was
standards?
first presented,
It predated that
When we
revision.
first did it, yeah, it's predated back when we first had it. But since that has happened, it's now in effect.
So for the restaurant, they're supposed to have 8 spaces, and for the car dealership, how big is?
Without giving specific, I think you're talking about on the street on Michigan or Main.
No, it's off-street parking.
Off-street parking.
Yeah.
That'd be Michigan. That'd be Michigan Street.
Off-street, not on-street,
Off-street
off-street.
means like on
In the lot.
the property itself. On-street would mean on
So
street.
8 spaces is already required for the restaurant?
Correct. And for auto sale, excuse me. That doesn't match today. And for the auto sales, they're required 1 space.
One.
So, 1. That doesn't count the display spaces, that's just one space for, like, who's coming there to purchase a car.
Okay, so 9 total required by the current parking ordinance.
Correct.
And by way of the plan, it's very light colored, so it's 8 or 10. I see 4 and 4.
So the restaurant is providing for,
5 spaces supplied for the restaurant, 5 spaces supplied for the auto sales
so you can,
on the current plan.
so you can adjust that.
That's including handicap spots, Mr. King?
I'm sorry?
That's including the handicap parking
Yes.
places?
There was 1 handicap included for each use.
So 2 handicap and 4 employees, and then 2 for a patron of the food and a patron of the auto, if I heard that correctly?
The requirements that Jordan just outlined were a total, I believe, of 9 for the combined auto sales and restaurant. And these spaces were based upon square footage of the building.
Thank you.
So it does meet it then, correct. I'm sorry, I saw the 4 and 4 and was not including the handicap as part, as your total. So thanks for that clarification. And then, and there is a second curb cut that was not clear on from our earlier discussions. Okay, I'm fine. I guess you had in your remarks said, this will not be buy here, pay here. Please enlighten me. I mean, that sounds basic, but how is this distinguished? And maybe for the benefit of anyone who has spoken about the number of auto sales agencies within that area.
The current image of a buy here, pay here is somewhat different than a retail used auto sales establishment. A buy here, pay here is often seen, in my own experience, along US 33 in Elkhart County. And they are advertising that you can buy the car and finance it through them, all in one simple operation. And it has, at least to my understanding, acquired a less than savory reputation for the way business is done at these locations. The type of operation that they intend to offer at this location is you come in, bank financing is available. If you qualify, you get the car. It's just like what you would expect if you were to go out onto Grape Road, if you were to go over onto the bypass in Elkhart. It is a commercial operation. If you want the car, you must qualify for financing.
In primary difference in your, it's not opinion, but fact, primary difference between light business versus commercial and its appropriateness within that lineup of businesses on that west side of the street. And I guess I'm trying to get at adjacent uses or complementary uses.
There are, again, Mr. Broughton, I guess what I would stress in this particular instance is the presence of light industrial right across the alley.
To the west, right.
Exactly. And mixed use and local business zonings on the east side of Michigan Street. The local business and community business zonings are a transitional type of zoning between the two uses.
All right, so your earlier presentation got at that, so thank you for repeating that. And it would appear to be an argument that's talking about complementary uses east and west. But my specific question is, complementary uses or not, north to south on that block, or from west to south, or from west to east.
The CB zoning at the northwest corner of Indiana and Michigan Street, used car lot. The LB zoning immediately south of there, former used car lot. The property in question, Bonnie Doon, former site. The property immediately south is the Family Dollar, and south of that is, I believe that used to be, maybe still is, the Sailor's Pizza.
Okay, so who could perhaps answer for us, because one of our criteria in looking at this, the lens, is the comprehensive plan. So some of these, we're told, or at least one, the one in the corner, was a grandfathered use, right?
Many along Michigan Street would be considered grandfathered uses.
In the departments, and Jordan, perhaps this is for you, but in your evaluation of this petition and your recommendations, or that you had received from the Department of Community Investment, what other properties have a grandfathered use, if you would, that predate back to 2004? Is there any sense of that?
Along Michigan Street specifically, I just haven't lived here long enough to know exactly which ones.
Who lives here?
And I guess I'm specifically looking at the north to south as you go along Michigan Street from this property.
Larry Maliazzi, Director of the Planning Commission, 11th floor, the County City Building. We didn't really specifically look at what uses were grandfathered or not grandfathered when we look at this petition. It's a fairly long stretch of a commercial corridor that's been decades in the development. So through the past two itinerations of the zoning ordinance since the 40s, I imagine there are several non-conforming uses, especially when you get into, as we were just talking here, the car lots, probably even some of the old drive-throughs, maybe some even the old manufacturing districts. There may be some assembly still going on up and down Michigan, but we did not specifically look at property by property to see what was legal non-conforming. We have to look at really, again, what the comprehensive plan, the latest one shows, any neighborhood plans that may have been worked on, and the general trend of the area from now until whenever.
And within those plans, the future land use plan does identify this as an area for mixed use?
That is correct.
Correct.
Okay, so we're not reliant on the southeast neighborhood plan that has not been approved, that is specific from the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, this rezoning, our recommendation was based on those 5 criteria that you're referring to, which is in the staff report, as well as the comments from DCI, and just our own evaluation of like the land use and bringing in the comprehensive plan.
And last point, so from a smart planning, I mean, you could obviously look west on this property and make a case for this as a buffer to the neighborhood to the east. You could look north and south and argue for consistency that it stay its current use. Is there any rule of thumb from a general planning standpoint? Do you look across the street? Do you look at what's behind properties? Do you, when you talk about adjacency, is there
There's
a preference or a,
When I was writing the staff report, it's not really a rule of thumb. What I did is just, I looked at Michigan Street as itself. I took into account the single-family homes that are directly across the street. I saw that, you could use the LI parcels for what they wanted. What I quoted from the comprehensive plan, because this is a major corridor coming into the street, that is appropriate for commercial development. But the City of South Bend's comprehensive plan states that one of the goals is to improve the character of the community's entryways and corridors and to ensure coordination of land uses among adjacent area-specific plans. So the plan, the neighborhood plan that I referenced, the reason I did reference it, even though it wasn't adopted by the Area Plan Commission or the council, is because, I was new and I went to the City of South Bend's website and it was on there, so I used that plan as well as a reference. So that was part of it, but the 5 criteria and the comments and from our discussions as a staff and the Area Plan Commission's recommendation, that's where this recommendation comes from.
and that was regardless of the commitments? Because those weren't even mentioned in the area plan consideration, correct?
Yes, the commitments didn't come until after the Area Plan Commission meeting.
But they were recommended in the staff report that you had received?
Yeah, by DCI.
Okay.
Yeah, they said if it would get approved. They were unfavorable, but if it did get approved, this was part of their recommendation.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you both.
Yes, and that's, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I believe to reference a plan that has not been approved was a concern of mine when it came to area plan and when it came back to this committee, because there had to be some weight given to that, the fact that you referenced it, the fact that you said that you would need, the fact that I believe that influenced a lot of that decision. And my concern on is to have this plan voted down on that had the seeds of a plan that was not even approved. I am very concerned on setting precedents in this body by giving any kind of credence to a plan that has not been approved as a part of the decision making. And we can say, well, we have too many cars in the place, we have all those kind of things, but we have already established that that's not a part of the current law from that standpoint. Whether we like to have more cars there or not, I mean, I have my own preference, but in terms of what is already written in the law, that's a different ballgame. And so we should not just make our decisions just based on preference, but based on what's there. And that is why I had a great concern when I became aware of the fact that that was referenced to, put in the document, shared with both area plan and with this body as a part of the rationale, which has led us to have that negative part of the reference that has come before this body tonight. And I was concerned with that.
If I could counter that a little bit.
Go for it.
We did mention 2 plans, the comprehensive plan and then the neighborhood plan, which, as you know, did not get vetted through this council, all right? But our decision is based on the comprehensive plan and the criteria for that. The other plan was a point of reference. Okay, there was a lot of time, effort, and money by the city to have a plan developed by the neighborhood. It didn't go forward for a variety of different reasons, I assume, I don't remember. But our decision as a staff is based on the comprehensive plan, not an unapproved or unvetted council, or land use plan not vetted by the council.
But if that was the case, the adjacent places to this is in keeping with the adjacent issues. And so how did you get to the reference of it not being in keeping of it when it is in keeping of it? That's where my clarity is. If it's in keeping that we both have dark suits, how do we get to the point where it doesn't have a dark suit, From the standpoint, he don't have on a jacket, so I can see that. But, for us, how do you get there?
It's as you know, zonings in many cases are subjective interpretations of what we have available to us. That's not perfect. Mm-hmm. All right, and that was, again, a lot of discussion between the folks at DCI and ourselves, and our unified consensus was that this did not meet the comprehensive plan and the general trend of the area.
Gotcha.
That's why we have this
Thank you.
process.
With that, we'll move to the public portion. Anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Please state your name and address.
My name is Conrad Damon. I live at 718 East Broadway Street. I'm president of Southeast Organized Area Residents, the neighborhood group that was referenced earlier. We do have 6 used car lots between Ewing Street and Broadway Street, which is a short 10-block place. That doesn't include the 3 muffler shops and the 2 auto repair shops. A store which has cars in front of with for sale signs on them, nor the 2 cars that were there next to JJ's with for sale signs on them. So how many used car lots there may already be, whether legal or illegal, is up for grabs. But there are 6 marked used car lots in that area. That does not include the 2 that are in the area that he referred to as a larger area. At our neighborhood meeting, we discussed whether having another used car lot would be a positive or a negative for our neighborhood, and we decided by consensus that it would be a negative. We don't need another used car lot. It was interesting, it was all new to me, the idea of referencing the master plan for our neighborhood. The master plan for our neighborhood was developed in 2015. We've been waiting for it to be approved by the council, and there are lots of reasons we've been told it hasn't been, but I don't see why you would hold that against the good faith of the various parties who are involved in developing the master plan. Certainly, as a city, we want the major entrance into our downtown to be a place which is welcoming and attractive for anyone coming to our city. And the 10 blocks that I referenced, and that includes this site, are 10 blocks that desperately need to have city attention to them. And so for the businesses that are there, including JJ's, who are improving the neighborhood, we would like to see the area around those businesses improved. This is not one of those improvements. And so we would ask you to not approve this change in zoning for this area. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing no one, the public portion is closed. Back to the council. What's your pleasure?
Yes, rebuttal.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. The petitioner has a 5-minute rebuttal. Sorry, thank you.
Again, I would speak to the fact that this appears a consistent use north to south in the LB zoning, and it appears as a transitional use from the light industrial between the it and the MU zoning to the east. I would remind the council that among the uses currently approved without any work whatsoever on the part of the owners are a mortuary, a check cashing outlet, a liquor store. Another one is desperately needed in that area. I'm sorry, that's sarcasm, so please take it for what it's worth. Or a pawn shop. These are all uses that could be instituted tomorrow. They are asking for the ability to use this property as a used car lot, 27 cars. And they're willing to commit to some stipulations as outlined by DCI for the use of that property. Thank you.
Now the rebuttal is closed. Back to council. Yes, Councilmember Davis.
I'm glad Mr. Feeney addressed his last statement, because currently, even if we vote this down, a check cashing place can go in there tomorrow without neighbors' approval. Liquor stores can go in there tomorrow with or without neighbor approval. Pawn shop can go in there tomorrow. Mortuary can go in there tomorrow. And we would have no stipulations no nothing. They can put it up tomorrow without even coming before this council, without any kind of concerns. So yes, we can vote it down, say, oh, we saved another car lot from being in the same spot. However, we have still opened it up for all these other liquor stores and everybody else to be in the same spot too. So, I mean, I think that back to the question of why I am cautious about this moving forward. I don't know the exact reasons why it has passed 3 years and a neighborhood plan that was put in place did not come before this council. I have no idea why, where is that being held up on, if it's in the DCI, it's in the mayor's office. I have no clue. It has not come before our committee that would have proceeded. I know it's not at the council because I chair that committee. And so, there's nothing from the council that's holding that up, so that has to be over the executive, and they're not willing to speak to that. I have to give them the credit for that. So since that's in the executive, to my knowledge, we should have some kind of stipulation on this, and I'm glad they've come before us to at least have some teeth in this right now. Again, to failure to vote on this tonight and pass it, the liquor store can move there tomorrow. I don't want that.
Make a motion to send this to full council unfavorable.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
Nay.
Yeah, nay.
2 nays? Okay. With that, would the city clerk please read 2518?
2518, public hearing on an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 4546, 4566, and 4612 North Lake Blackthorn Drive, Councilmanic District Number 1 in the city of South Bend, Indiana.
Is there a committee report?
Back to zoning.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Zoning and Annexation Committee met on this earlier today and gave it a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Jay.
Is there a presenter, please?
Jordan White, Area Plan Commissioner, Office of Zone 11 for this building. The petitioner is requesting a zone change in the area outlined in red from LB Local Business District to SF1 Single Family and Two Family Districts. To the north are single-family homes zoned SF1, single-family and two-family district. To the east is the St. Joseph Valley Parkway. To the west are single-family homes zoned SF1, single-family and two-family district. And to the south are vacant parcels zoned LB Local Business District. There's not currently a site plan for this rezoning. They're just simply rezoning those 3 parcels so they can move from the commercial development and develop those as single-family homes. This comes to you with a favorable recommendation from the Area Plan Commissioner.
Thank you. Is there a petitioner, please?
Thank you. Mike Dan from Dan Turner and Associates, 1643 Commerce Drive here in South Bend. As Jordan had mentioned, what we're just asking for is a downsize from the LP to the SF1. The petitioner has some people interested in building homes, so this is part of the Bills of Lake, I think it's a Blackthorn, all single-family development. The 2 lots at the corner will still remain for LP. As I had also mentioned to council, what we will end up doing as well, when we had originally rezoned that corner to the LB district, we had put in place written commitments which were recorded. I'm now going to ask Area Plan to remove those for these 3 lots so we can actually put in single-family homes. If you have any questions for me, I'm glad to answer.
Any questions for presenter or petitioner? Peace. Seeing none at this time, we'll move to the public portion. Anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing no one, the public portion is closed. Is there a comment?
I'm representing First District. This is a very nice area. These people all didn't forget that they're part of the First District or the city, that fact. So when I started council 7 years ago, there were lots still vacant in this area. It's good to see that they've been filled in. There's a demand, and this is a good move to add 3 more lots. So I full support, and I send this, recommend that we make a motion to send this to the full council favorably.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. City Clerk, would you please read 3118?
3118, public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Indiana, amending 13-75.506 of the Chapter 13, Article 5 of the South Bend Municipal Code pertaining to disorderly houses and prohibiting dealing in marijuana, hash oil, hash, synthetic drugs, and synthetic look-alike substances.
Is there a committee report?
Yes, Health and Public Safety met today and determined to send this to the full council favorably?
Is there a presenter, please?
Yeah, Will Smith, 728 Whitehall Drive, committee member. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Council, for this opportunity. Thank you as well to community members that have been involved in this initiative. Essentially, what we're presenting you with today is an ordinance amending a current ordinance that the City Council has passed, updating our ordinance in line with state regulation currently. It gets wise for the Council to go ahead and pass this favorably. And then also, as far as the strategic aspect of it moving forward, I think we can look at addressing more of a criminal matter with people that are dealing with substances. I think that's the main goal of this initiative, is to go after those individuals that are dealing with it. And I think we can also look at more of a civil route for people that are using this, because they do need our help, and we need to not treat them as criminals and find whatever resources they have. The message is pretty straightforward. We don't want these businesses here selling these illegal substances. We want people to know that are using it, that there are resources available.
Thank you. Also to Ed and Scott, 711 Forest Avenue, and sponsor along with Karen L. White. Thank you, Karen. Will, myself, Karen, others, Freedom Fowler, are on a task force to look at synthetic marijuana. This change, and we're dedicated to changing this every other week if we have to stay ahead of the nefarious activities that these people are doing and trying to change the chemical compound to have a loophole within state and local ordinances. This is in line with the state ordinance, keeping pace with the language they have to close any loopholes, anybody dealing with synthetic drugs. So thank you. We appreciate your support.
Thank you. Any questions from council for presenters? Seeing none, we'll move to the public portion. Anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing no one, back to the council. What's your pleasure?
Move favorable recommendation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. City Clerk, would you please read 3218?
3218, public hearing on the ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Southfield, Indiana, amending ordinance number 10546-17 by adding new salaries and wages to the ordinance, fixing maximum salaries and wages of the appointed officers and non-bargaining employees of the City of Southfield for the calendar year of 2018.
Is there a committee report?
Yes, the Personnel and Finance Committee held a committee meeting and public hearing on this bill and sent to you with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Is there a presenter, please?
Good evening, Council. Jen Hockenhall, City Controller, officers on the 12th floor of this building. The bill before you is requesting 2 new positions be added to the salary ordinance related to the AmeriCorps grant. One is a I'm sorry, I have these in my head, an operations manager who will oversee 10 members of the AmeriCorps grant as discussed today for the AmeriCorps grant through the Sustainability Office. And the other one is an operations project manager. Both of these positions are currently listed on our website with the job descriptions on the website, and they are available to be applied for as of today. I don't know if there's any questions.
Yes.
In terms to clarify the funding sources, can you share with the audience how much will be supported by the grant and the percentage in which the city would supply, and the length of the grant itself?
Yeah, the positions themselves, I believe, are funded through a grant provided by AmeriCorps, which is, there will be $150,000 that are provided through the AmeriCorps grant, and the rest of it will be funded through the general fund, as well as likely contributions from the water and wastewater funds.
And could you share the percentage in terms, what that would look like in terms of the amount that the general fund would support?
Yes. The grant will cover up to 66% of the wages and expenses of the program for 2018.
Thank you.
Question.
Sure.
What happens when do you share what happens when the grant runs out with the positions?
They are listed specifically on the ordinance as AmeriCorps member grants, or as AmeriCorps member positions, so when the grant goes away, the positions also go away.
Thank you.
Seeing no other questions, we'll move to the public portion. Anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor? Anyone from the public wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing no one, the public portion is closed. Back to the council.
Move for favorable passage.
Second.
Favor recommendation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Entertain a motion to rise and resolve from the
So
committee of the
moved.
whole.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Full council is now back in session. Ms. Fowler, would you please give third reading to 1418?
1418, third reading on an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and seeking a special exception for property located at 1619 South Michigan Street, Councilmanic District Number 3, in the city of South Bend, Indiana.
Motion for defeat.
Second.
Ms. Fowler, roll call.
Motion for defeat. Councilmember Preston.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye. Do we have to give
Councilmember
reasons?
Broden.
Do we give reasons or not?
No.
Aye.
Councilmember Teschka.
Aye.
Vice President Davis.
Nay.
Councilmember Gordon.
Nay.
Councilmember Furley.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
President Scott.
Aye.
7-2.
Thank you. Third reading for 2518, please.
2518, third reading on an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 4546, 4566, and 4612 North Lake Blackthorn Drive, Councilmanic District Number 1, in the city of South Bend, Indiana.
Motion for passage.
Second.
Ms. Fowler.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Broden.
Aye.
Councilmember Teschka.
Aye.
Vice President Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Gordon.
Aye.
Councilmember Furley.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Preston.
Aye.
President Scott.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. 3118, please.
3118, third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending 13-75.5, Old 6 of Chapter 13, Article 5 of the South Bend Municipal Code pertaining to disorderly houses and prohibiting dealing in marijuana, hash oil, synthetic drugs, and synthetic look-alike substances.
Motion for passage.
Second.
Ms. Fowler.
Councilmember Broden.
Aye.
Councilmember Teschka.
Aye.
Vice President Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Gordon.
Aye.
Councilmember Furley.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Preston.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
President Scott.
Aye. Thank you.
9 ayes.
Thank you. 3218, please.
3218, third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending ordinance number 10546-17 by adding new salary and wage positions to the ordinance, fixing maximum salaries and wages of the appointed officers and non-bargaining employees of the City of South Bend for calendar year 2018.
Motion for passage.
Aye. Second.
Councilmember Teschka.
Aye.
Vice President Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Gordon.
You get me? Aye.
Councilmember Furley.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Preston.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Broden.
Aye.
President Scott.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. Let's move to resolutions. Ms. Fowler, would you read 1826, please?
1826, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals for property located at 1235 West Napier.
Thank you. Is there a committee report from our substitute chair?
Yes, there is. We recommended this favorably after hearing it this afternoon.
Thank you. Is there a presenter?
Yeah, hello, Jordan White, Area Plan Commission, Office on the 11th floor of this building.
Thank you.
The petitioner is seeking a special exception use for this vacant lot at 1235 West Napier Street for an accessory parking lot. The parking lot will be used, it's sort of hard to see, to the left for the church across the street. This comes to you with the favorable recommendation from the Area Board of Zoning Appeals.
Thank you. Is there any questions for the presenter at this point? No. Petitioner. Mr. Feeney, state your name and address and give us a quick rundown.
Mr. President, members of the council, Bernard Feeney, 715 South Michigan, South Bend. This is currently an unpaved, partially grassed lot or number of lots at the northeast corner of Walnut and Napier, where Napier dead ends into Walnut Street. It is used from time to time, basically on Sundays, as a sometimes parking lot for services at the Gethsemane Church at the southeast corner of Napier and Walnut. The church is asking for a special exception to allow this lot to be paved for the consideration of their parishioners. It will service the current church at the southeast corner for all services related, and is ideally positioned for any future use that the church may expand into if they were to build at the location across the street. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Council, any questions? Seeing none, we'll open up to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of 1826, please come to the podium. Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak against 1826, please come to the podium. Back to council.
Motion for adoption?
Second. Ms. Fowler.
Vice President Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Ward.
Aye.
Councilmember Furman.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Preston.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Brody.
Aye.
Councilmember Textor.
Aye.
President Kelly.
Aye.
9-0.
Thank you. 1831, please.
1831, a resolution confirming the adoption of a declaratory resolution designating certain areas within the city of South Bend, Indiana, commonly known as 902 North Allen, 1145 North Brookfield, 1306 North Brookfield, 914 North Cleveland, 903 North College, 917 North Elmer, 1101 North Elmer, 1229 North Elmer, 1329 North Huey, 1110 North Johnson, 749 North Lawndale, 913 North Lawndale, 1138 North Olive, 1530 Van Buren as a residential distressed area for purposes of a 5-year residential property tax abatement for historic Lincoln Way West Homes LP.
Thank you. Is there a presenter?
Hello, my name is Ann Mannix. I'll make a brief presentation.
Address, Ms. Mannix.
724 West Washington, South Bend.
Thank you.
I always forget that. 1636 Lincoln Way West is a former brewery. The rehab costs are $6.4 million. It's a conspicuous spot on a major artery and an entry to the city. There's 22 efficiencies, 1- and 2-bedroom apartments.
Ms. Mannix?
Yes.
You're one step ahead of us. This is dealing with the houses.
Oh, okay,
within the
I'm sorry.
neighborhood.
Okay.
1831.
All right, there are 14 single-family homes. They all have basements and garages, 3- and 4-bedroom apartments, and the costs are $3.6 million.
Thank you. Council, any questions on the confirming? Seeing none, thank you. Open up to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of 1831, please come to the podium.
William Smith, 728 Whitehall Drive. Previously served on the Community Investment Committee, and actually Mr. Mariani had reached out to me when I was struggling in a time of need, and that meant a lot to me, and I think he's a person of outstanding moral character, and I was happy to see some of the guidance that I gave as far as the abatement schedules in the residentially distressed areas was being implemented here, so thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Jesse Davis, P.O. Box 10205, South Bend, Indiana. I'm all for, looking at redoing some of these homes and the neighborhoods being better. I guess I more have a question. She said 3-point-something million? And how many homes is it total? 14 homes. So is it going to be public record on what's being spent in these homes? I brought an issue to you several years back where Heritage Foundation and them put $500,000 into 3 homes, and then we turned around and the homes were sold for under $200,000, and we just dumped $500,000, which doesn't appear to be very good fiscal spending of the money. So I'm just curious if the spending on these homes
is going to be public record prior to the spending happening.
And that's a statement for. Kind of neutral, Mr. Davis.
I'm all for making the neighborhoods
Okay.
nicer, but I think we need to watch how that money's being spent, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Next, anybody else speaking in favor? Please state your name and home address.
Hi, my name is Joseph Wingo. I live at 1020 Furbringer. I live in the new development over in Lincoln Park, and I'm speaking for this tax abatement because the homes that were built over there are 24 homes, and what they have done to that neighborhood is beautify that area, along with the help of Mr. Scott and the contractors. They have redone the curbs and the sidewalks, which has really beautified that area. So I would ask that the council would be in favor of this. Also, take a moment and ride through that area right there off of Lincoln Way, right behind the Colfax Culture Center, Harrison Street, Furbringer, Oak, Cottage Grove, and College. Thank you. Bless the council and bless South Bend.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for blessings.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Come on down.
You're the next contestant. Council is ready.
Name and address, please.
Hi, everyone. I am Willie Deering Mallory. I live at 501 Harrison Avenue, and I also live in the South Bend Mutual Homes. I'm a resident. And the one big thing I can say about South Bend Mutual Homes is that it is a blessing. It's a blessing to the residents. It's a blessing to the neighborhood. We have a hard-working board that works together as concerned neighbors. We have 24 brand-new, beautiful homes, and which is a motivator for the Mutual Homes resident for the future, for their children. We have hard-working, beautiful people that live there.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak against, please come to the podium. Seeing no one, we'll turn it back to council.
Motion for adoption.
Second.
Ms. Fowler?
Councilmember Gordon?
Aye.
Councilmember Furley?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Preston?
Aye.
Councilmember McBride?
Aye.
Councilmember Brody?
Aye.
Councilmember Chester?
Aye.
Vice President Davis?
Aye.
President Scott?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. Move on to 1832, please.
1832, a resolution confirming the adoption of a declaratory resolution designating certain areas within the city of South Bend, commonly known as South Bend Brewery Place, as an economic revitalization area for purposes of a 10-year real property tax abatement for historic Lincoln Way West Homes LP.
Thank you. Is there a presenter, Ms. Mannix? Now you can talk on your brewery.
All right.
Name and address.
Ann Mannix, 724 West Washington. The rehab costs on this are $6.4 million. It's on a conspicuous spot on a major artery, entry to the city from the airport, 22 apartments. It's a historic property. We're applying for low-income housing tax credits, and these funds will strengthen our application. So it has a public benefit, it provides affordable housing, and will stabilize the neighborhood.
Thank you. Council, any questions?
Any addition, excuse me, Broden, not here. Any additional, aside from the property tax abatement benefit that you'd like to highlight here?
Benefits to the project or funding?
Any additional incentives that the city of South Bend is putting in?
The city is
relative
giving
to
us $1 million in tax abatement, and we're working on the off-site improvements, which are not connected to the project, but will be made in the surrounding neighborhood.
Okay, so, and then in terms of petitioner policy, no, I'll save that for later, but thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, we'll open up to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of 1832, please come to the podium.
Thank you.
Your name and address,
Again,
sir.
Joseph Wingo, 1020 Furburger, South Bend. Again, I'm here to speak in favor of the tax abatement because what Ann Mannix has done with the revitalization in that Lincoln Park neighborhood is provide stability to these 24 families, and I, again, would encourage the city to take a ride by and look at those 24 homes to see how it has beautified the neighborhood, so please consider it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Name and address, sir.
Pastor Kenneth Lee, 1929 North Huey Street. I would just want the council to vote in favor of it. The area right now is a blight in our area, and we think that single family housing would be a good thing for that area and would help to make it a better site as people are coming into the city. So I want to say we send our support for this project.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none. Anyone wishing to speak against 1832, please come to the podium. Seeing none, turn back to council.
Motion for passage.
Second.
Adoption. Second.
Ms. Fowler.
Councilmember Furley.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Preston.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Brody.
Aye.
Councilmember Tester.
Aye.
Vice President Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Gordon.
Aye.
President Scott.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. 1835, please.
1835, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, reaffirming and approving the necessity of a lease of a building located at 319 Niles Avenue, South Bend, Indiana, for the use of the South Bend Human Rights Commission.
Is there a presenter?
Yes, Aladine DeRose, City Attorney with offices on the 12th floor of this building. I'm also the attorney for the South Bend Human Rights Commission. In 2012, the council...
Aladine, sorry, I messed up. Is there a committee report, please?
Yes, the Personnel and Finance Committee held a committee meeting and public hearing on this bill and sent it to you with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Sorry for the miss there, Ms. White. Aladine, please proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. In 2012, this council saw fit to find that there was a necessity for the South Bend Human Rights Commission to go outside its city-owned property and lease property at 319 North 9th Street. That property or that office space was specifically designed with the Human Rights Commission's needs in mind. It is located in the near downtown area, near a bus stop, with ample parking. It is fully ADA accessible, and as the Human Rights Commission, that's very important. The Human Rights Commission has many customers and clients whose needs require ADA accessibility. It's a wonderful space, and the city has gone through again and done a review of the buildings that are available, and none of them fit the needs of the commission. So we're asking at this time that the council again find that there's a need to continue the lease, which will be a 5-year lease with a 6-month option in case property becomes available within the city after 2019. The rent is comparable and reasonable and fair, and we're asking again that the council reaffirm and authorize the release, the continuation of the lease of this property.
Thank you, Aladine. Any questions at this time for Mr. Rose? No? Thank you. We'll open up to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor? 1835, please come to the podium. Name and address, sir.
My name is Samuel Brown. I live at 222 Snowbar Street in the city of South Bend. I'm a human rights officer, the city of South Bend also, voted by the council. Eldin said it better than I could possibly say it. I would like to pass. It's a beautiful place, clean, safe, for clients to come in to work with the human rights and issues that affect their lives. So I hope you pass this.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak against 1835, please come to the podium. Seeing none, turn back to council.
Motion for adoption?
Second.
Ms. Fowler?
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Preston? Aye. Councilmember McBride?
Aye.
Councilmember Broden?
Aye.
Councilmember Chester?
Aye.
Vice President Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Gordon?
Aye.
Councilmember Furley?
Aye.
President Scott?
Aye.
9-0.
Thank you. Let's go to first readings. Ms. Fowler, would you please give first reading 3318?
3318, first reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance and establishing historical landmark status for the structure and real property known as the Civil Rights Heritage Center, formerly the Ingman Natatorium, and located at 1040 West Washington Street in the city of South Bend, Indiana.
I move that this be set for second reading and public hearing on August 13th and sent to the Zoning and Annexation Committee.
Second, I accept.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Unfinished business, 1834.
1834, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals for property located at 719 and 721 West Brett Street.
I move this be sent for second reading and public hearing on 8/13 and be sent to the Zoning and Annexation Committee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Any new business? Mr. Vice President Oliver Davis.
Couple of things. I would like there's three things really. Number one, in terms of, in the past, we have, in years, it's been some time, we used to get updates regarding police matters when there was some kind of situations. And we've had a situation that happened with a police officer on Friday. Then we had another one today that happened. And unless we are looking at our news or getting phone calls by our residents, the people, we don't know these kind of things. And I would like for us to somehow, we didn't get any kind of newsletter or any kind of update on Friday regarding that serious situation that happened right there. And we had to stay I think there's something should have come from the police, come from the executive office or something. We just need to be up to date on those matters when it comes down to that. And so, I don't know if that's something that we need to have a discussion on health and public safety or
we can
whatever on our next meeting, because we need to have not just a letter, but have a good discussion about what we need to put in place so we as council people can know what accurately to put on our websites and our Facebooks and everything else regarding that.
Yeah, we can talk about that. I got some processes too. I'll talk to Joe. If anybody has anything else that concern, email Joe Broden for Health and Public Safety on that.
On what? Pardon me?
No, go ahead.
On that same Health and Public Safety, in terms of, I don't know where Ms. McBride is, but I would, on that because I was gone, but I would just wanted to get an update. Are we going to have a meeting regarding the mobile homes for those who, the mobile home situation?
Yes, there'll be probably some information within the next few weeks.
Okay, and just wanted to follow up on that. And then the last one, in terms of, I would recommend that we have a update on one of our, can't remember if it was in Public Works or is in, y'all can correct me, I can't remember the committee for our South Shore. What committee was that in?
DCI.
DCI. That's you. Okay. When can we have an update in terms of our next meeting regarding that
status?
The status of South Shore. I know there's been talk in the paper, articles written on issues going downtown, articles written on the South Shore should be on the west side, which of course I hope, but wherever. Getting the mayor's input, because people are asking. We haven't had that update for several months now, and can we have that? And I would recommend that not be at a regular council meeting, because we only given 10 minutes or so in that. That our last time.
We can extend it.
We can make on it.
Okay, that's fine. But if we have, well, yeah, we've had a lot of time.
Let's look at the agenda and then
Let's look
figure
at
out.
the agenda.
And we'll coordinate community investment.
Yeah.
You guys mind reaching out to community investment, seeing what works for their schedule over the next maybe 3 weeks?
And then y'all can get that out, and then we can make sure that everybody in the community knows, all the interested parties, Ardmore residents, the people out there to talk the factory, business. I appreciate that, so, those things. Thank you.
Ms. White, and
I
then
would like
Ms.
to give
Broder.
update on the new business. At our last council meeting, on the privilege of the floor, representatives from the LaSalle Park Neighborhood Alliance Committee came before this body to share 5 areas of priorities that they had established, and they were seeking feedback or input from the council. At that time, that particular need or those goals, as well as the priorities that were shared, President Scott asked that the residential neighborhood committee would meet with that particular neighborhood association. A meeting was held on Wednesday, July the 18th. I'm happy to state that all of the committee members were present, along with Councilwoman Sharon McBride and Councilmember Tim Scott. We did have representatives from the administration. The purpose of that meeting was to first listen to their priorities, to help them to clarify, but most importantly, to respond. One of those priorities was in the process of being addressed. So we have 4 priorities that the neighbors of that particular association has shared with us. We're going to be working with them, and we'll keep the council aware of the progress, and our goal is to assist in outlining those concerns, but also to ensure that we have the information to respond most appropriately. Would like to share with the council, and I've been trying to keep the council abreast in terms of the progress, in terms of not in our community, and that is the response to the synthetic drugs. We started this committee about 1.5 years ago, and I would like to acknowledge Pastor Kenneth Lee, who's in the audience, who's a member of our committee, along with council members and others. It is a group of individuals that responded to an issue that started July 2017. We have had a number of forums, we've listened to the community, and the response is to have a comprehensive approach towards addressing synthetic drugs within our community. On last Tuesday, we held a meeting with faith leaders within the 1st and 2nd District to share information with them, to get their feedback, but also to ensure that information is given throughout the community in regards to the initiative entitled Not in Our Community. So I wish to thank the council members, the committee members, and most importantly, our community partners that are working very, very hard to make sure that we respond most appropriately to synthetic drugs in our community.
Thank you, Ms. White. I would like, Ms. Broden, I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem, thank you. Agreeing with Councilman Davis and all the recommended topics, I would also like to, if we could, get an update on PSAP in terms of funding proposals, staffing proposals. There are a number of things, too, specifically that marches ahead in the county budget process, and that does not align with our budget process, and sometimes we come at these issues on the back end. So if there is a way that we can get a report from Jen Hocknell or the primary parties involved in that and those considerations, I think that would be helpful to the council, as well as any other significant county proposals or changes that we could anticipate in the budget process. There were a number of things that happened last year that arrived on our desks, and they were already well down the road in terms of the county budget. So I would like for, if specifically PSAP, that part of it, but if there are other anticipated county changes that would affect our partnerships or our collaborative relationships or our funding, if we could specifically get briefed on those as council at the committee level, really as soon as possible. My preference would be at our next meeting, prior to our next meeting. And then, I guess, relevant to tonight's conversation about a rezoning, the Southeast Neighborhood Plan, it's been around for some time, and it's listed or has been listed on our website. The neighbors came before the council in a committee setting and, shared their vision and their views. Council specifically asked for an update on these neighborhood plans, and I guess I'm at the position now, 2 years, 7 months into this, almost 8. If the planning process was that comprehensive and involved both professional planners, outside planning consultants, and the neighbors and business owners, and it looks comprehensive from any other plan that we've looked at, I would like to request that we actually put that as an agenda item, that approval, at an upcoming meeting.
Okay.
And it's either, then we actually get to the discussion of yay or nay on it, but let's schedule it and let's begin the public review of that.
Question on that?
Yes.
It hasn't even gotten approval of area plan.
That's what I mean.
So
Somebody needs to petition us, and if it's the neighborhoods or if it's DCI, and then we can assign it to the Area Plan Commission, but it's an existing plan. It's in limbo, and we don't get the benefit of, in our decision process, and that's one of our primary pieces.
We'll ask, it'll be asked between the zoning and also neighborhoods committee chairs.
Okay.
So we'll put that together. John Boyd.
Reassessment notices went out from the county assessor last week, and generally, I think there were increases in assessments. I've gotten 7 phone calls, that's a lot for me, inquiries as to why their property assessments went up so much. And I wonder if we couldn't ask the county assessor to come with a brief explanation of the process. Why and how and that kind of thing.
and put a link to her situation on our Facebook so they will know how to route those calls to her.
And follow up on that, I know mine, they're trying to do mine 26%. I've had phone calls up to 40%, which is just ridiculous. Any other? Yeah, I'm sorry, Regina.
Yeah, just want to say we're going to have a District 2 bus tour on Saturday, August 11th from 10 to noon, and look forward to everyone being able to meet us at Studebaker Plaza to load the bus and have a chance to look at the good things that's happening in District 2.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to formally thank Aladine Derez for filling in for Bob Palmer. Thank you so much, Aladine. You did a bang-up job. I'm glad we had to use your expertise over and over again tonight. Anything else? New business? No, at this time we'll turn to privilege of the floor. Privilege of the floor, this is where individuals who wish to address the council must state their name and residential address. Individuals are limited to 3 minutes only. Maximum time limit for this portion of the meeting is 30 minutes. Individuals may address only issues which the city has jurisdiction. Individuals should not be permitted to address any topic which was heard tonight on the agenda. Council President, will assign topics to raise to individuals during privilege of the floor, either to the Common Council committee members or to city administration. Mr. Davis, show them how it's done. If you would, please line up. Graham, is there a sign-up sheet? You can do it prior to or after. If you would, please give your name and address so we have it for the record. That would be perfect. Mr. Davis, go ahead.
Jesse Davis, P.O. Box 10205, South Bend, Indiana. I was up here and brought a situation to the council's attention approximately 3 years ago about some high-dollar city equipment that was not in the city's possession, that mysteriously got dropped off, let's say, over at the building on Sample Street. And I've been trying for 3 years now through the legal department and FOIAs to get a list of this equipment and any kind of information on why this equipment was not on the city's inventory, but yet we paid for it. So most recently, I was actually able to get a letter from the legal department, and I got a list of equipment that was actually dropped off at the street department. Another bunch of equipment that, if you look the prices up on these pieces of equipment, it's probably tens of thousands of dollars. This equipment was dropped off, so we've now got 2 buildings where equipment that was purchased on the city's dime was dropped off. Both facilities are very, very secure. I took photographs of the cameras that are on these buildings, but yet nobody knows who dropped anything off. Nobody knows why it wasn't in our city inventory, who purchased it, who had it. I'm being told to go back to the state police to ask for the state police report that was done on this, the investigation, when in fact a state police detective who was involved sent me an email saying that they concluded their investigation well over a year ago, and it was sent back to the city and the prosecutor's office. So again, I'm up here basically complaining about transparency, number one. It took me 3 years to even get this info, and accountability. We've got, from what I understand, that was returned to the city, probably near $100,000 worth of equipment in total. Who dropped this off? Who had possession of this? Who signed to buy this equipment? That'll be my next FOIA to the city, by the way, is to ask for the purchase on this, to see who signed for it. I can't tell you if I get it, but here's the documentation I've got on it. So if you wouldn't mind taking a look at this, maybe you guys can get some information I can't.
Could one of our clerks get...
Thank you. Can you hand that to Bianca, please? Thank you. Next name and address.
Jason Bedicki, Critchlow, 3822 West 4th Street. We were kind of talking about entryway corridors, and it got me thinking to about 2 years ago when the county decided to spend $1 million to reinstitute a drug unit in the countywide. And in the 2 years, they've effected roughly 3 total arrests. And at the time that happened, I challenged the city council then to find $1 million in our over $300 million budget to find and fund heroin treatment programs for our city. And you know what I see when I drive down Main Street, Michigan every day? I see people hunched over, drooling, clearly out of their mind on heroin, by businesses, on abandoned porches. I challenge you guys again as we go into this budget process. We have $300+ million we're going to spend again. We shouldn't be spending as much on economic development as we are on public safety, so maybe we take $1 million out of economic development and put it towards heroin treatment programs, because otherwise we can spend all we want on economic development. But if your first impression of our city is, here's people panhandling and here's people passed out from heroin in front of the businesses down the main entryway, it's just not a good look to anybody.
Thank you. Next name and address, sir.
Thomas L. Smythville Sr., 51042 Prairie View Way, South Bend, Indiana. I'm the chairman of the UAW Local 9 retirees. I'm here tonight, and with a number of them down here tonight, to speak to the South Bend Common Council in regard to your relationship with the Honeywell Corporation of South Bend, Indiana. I know there's a number of you that have been out to when there was a lockout, we're down to the plant in support of the workers that were locked out from the Honeywell plant. This corporation in the city of South Bend has demoralized the active workforce greatly in this city, and it's really going to hurt this city a lot, is what's going on. Not only the active workforce, but the retirees. We were promised, when we started working there, I worked there over 30 years myself. I'm 71 years old. I've been the chairman of the retirees for about 8 years right now. We've got some serious issues on the health issues in this country with health insurance, and this isn't helping the situation. We've got people here that are under 65 years of age that are can't even afford to buy health care. They were told that if they did not retire before 2016, they could lose their health care if they didn't retire ahead of time. They retired before 65 years of age, are having to pay anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 a month for health care right now. These people, there's well over 2,000 to 3,000 in this community. They're retirees at Honeywell. This not only affects Honeywell here in South Bend, it affects Honeywell in Green Island, and also at Bosch Corporation in St. Joe, Michigan, and none of them people are under the same contract. But I just want to give you a little explanation. Honeywell has got $3.4 billion in federal contracts under President Trump. Last year, Honeywell posted $1.7 billion profit. The Trump-Walorski tax cuts let them bring back $7 billion in cash from overseas. In the first quarter, Honeywell paid out almost $950 million on stock buybacks. That's where the money they made from pushing retirees under 65 years of age off of their insurance programs. Their earnings were up 11% in the first quarter. Sales were up 9% in the aerospace division. We kept our part of the bargain here in South Bend, Indiana. We've worked for 25, 35, 45, 50 years for this corporation. And I'm asking you tonight to back the people of this community. They're not only the people in this community, there's people all over the United States that work for this corporation. I work for Bendix, Allied, Signal, and Honeywell. And Honeywell's ruthless. I want to tell you, they're a ruthless corporation. Our community, this is going to hurt our community.
You have 30 seconds.
This is going to hurt our community greatly. It will take a lot of money out of the economy. The South Bend Council needs to take a stand, and I ask you to examine your relationship with this corporation. This council, and there's other people that before you that give a lot of breaks to this corporation, and there's probably even more to come. I know a lot what's going on behind the scenes. I want to bring all that up tonight, but you need to re-examine your position with this corporation. They threw our people under the bus. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Larry Alexander, and I reside at 56051 Harmon Drive, Mishawaka, Indiana. And I'm kind of here to piggyback on what Tom says. When I hired it was Bendix Corporation, 37 years I worked at that place, with the understanding that I had health care. I wouldn't have to worry about when I retired, I had health care insurance. And lo and behold, you go from Bendix to a compassionate company that when my father died out there, I was a month and a day old. And they offered my mother a job. That's when it was Bendix. Now you go through the acquisitions through Allied Signal, and then the Honeywell, the ruthless, corporate, greatest company in this country, is taking and throwing retirees that made them people who they are and threw them under the bus. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to have to buy supplemental insurance. I'm going to have to take $4,000 to $5,000 out of my pension that I could be spreading across this community for better use than to have to buy supplemental insurance that I should not have to buy. And I just appreciate you guys if you would give us some consideration.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next name and address.
So wow.
My name is Brian Eddington. I live at 2702 Hilltop Drive. I come here tonight in support of Robert Goodchild, better known as Cochise, by his close friends and co-workers. Cochise, his Native American name means strong like the oak tree. In 1964, Mishawaka, Marion opened its doors for the very first time, and his son, Roderick Goodchild, known as Rod, was part of that very first freshman class. Being a brand new school, it had no athletic facilities on the 40-acre campus. Mr. Goodchild saw the need and spearheaded the development of the football field and track. The athletic director at the time, Bob Oltolsky, better known as Big O, described Mr. Goodchild as a mover and a shaker who got the project done and on time. Robert Goodchild was born and grew up in the Neopit on the Menominee Indian Reservation, where he walked 8 miles to and from school each day. He graduated from West High School at the top of his class and went to the University of Wisconsin on an academic as well as an athletic scholarship. He was a varsity wrestler for the Badgers as well as the president of his fraternity. With 1 semester to go before graduation, he was selected to go into the Army Air Corps. After 6 months of officer training at Yale, The balance of his 4-year tour of duty was in British India, heading up the resupply mission of our Chinese allies. He served our country with distinction as World War II as a first lieutenant without a college degree. He returned to the University of Wisconsin and completed his last semester and graduated with honors and was recruited by NIPSCO in 1946 and moved to South Bend. For 34 years, he headed up the mission to install the underground pipeline network throughout northern Indiana. This transformed our community from a dirty coal and fuel oil to clean burning natural gas, or as he called it, heavy flame.
Sir, you have 30 seconds.
The mission to carve the dead oak tree stumps into magical spirit animals was accomplished through the trust fund of Robert Goodchild. The first carving was completed in 2013, and final welcome oak carving dedicated to Robert Goodchild on December 21st, 2017. The project is complete, and all 16 animal carvings are done on May 29th. We celebrated the best week ever at Potawatomi Park. In the 2018 best walkabout ever throughout the magical oak tree carvings was recognized as a unique happening. And at first, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You got it.
I know I don't have the overhead projector. I need some help.
Mr. Goodchild, are you speaking? Or you just
need some help holding that up.
So people can see from the console what things are like, what's been going on for the last 7 years.
Bianca.
Here's something for each council member. When you have an opportunity to look at that, look at that. Can I give it to somebody?
Bianca. Okay. Thank you.
Here's that goes to each council member. They can look at it. And this goes to each member. A separate one for information slides. One's for the attorney, one's for reading.
Name and address, sir.
Rod Goodchild, 837 South 24th Street, River Park, 46615. This is my pride and joy. This is what I was given. It states categorically that we went through all the proper procedures. We asked everybody. Valerie Shea started it. She came to me. She asked me what we're going to do. She was our council person from the area. And she said, with all of her input from taking it to Facebook and everything else, that she took it to the park board, said, Mr. Goodchild, she's talked to the mayor and everybody else, wants to do a couple of trees, and they approved it. They approved it, they approved it, they approved it, and it started in 2013. The first one was completed, as we all know, for Ella Morris. You see Ella Morris there. You see the picture. You see my mother and her were go-getters. The greenhouse was very special to everyone. And so after that, they continued to tell me, you work with protocol. You work with the people that you're told to, Goodchild. Don't go here, don't go there. You do exactly what we tell you. I was assigned 14 letters, as you'll see. Went to the mayor's office, countless letters to everybody else, and to the Patrick Sherman, 24 correspondence, because that's who I'm told to go through. And I'm an individual in the community. When I'm told something, I'm a foot soldier. You do exactly what you're told.
Rod, you have 30 seconds.
That it's done and completed. All we're missing is the stone. We went back in December 21st. They said it would be approved, but they had a problem with Victor's name on it. Victor's name, I said, then take off. Then they said he should be on because he's an unbelievable local artist. He's on it. It was done. The communication went through. And now it sits there on the truck ready to be put down. And the question they had is who's going to pay for it. It's been totally paid for, sitting there since May the 11th. And we're still trying to get new laws,
Rod,
new rules
your time is up.
Before it ever gets approved.
Okay. Thank you, Rod.
I put in to the statement here, like the last gentleman. Here are the two stones.
Okay. Thank you.
Were approved.
Thank you.
And nobody knows how. On the same timeline as mine. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next, name and address.
Good evening, my name is Pastor Kenneth Lee. My address is 1929 North Huey Street. I'm here to address the issue, along with the members of the Far Northwest Side Neighborhood Association, the community development program that's going to be launched of home repair on the west side of South Bend. For the last 7 years, we've been working together to try to bring about improvements in the area. We've gotten a splash pad introduced to the area. We do Shakespeare in the Park. We do various things, community gatherings, bringing our community together. I'm a lifelong resident. I grew up on 1930 North Elmer, lived at 2015 Olive, and now I bought a house that's 1929 Huey. I've lived in that block, in that area, on the far northwest side, 41 years, except for when I went to college and lived in Indianapolis. And when we found out at one of our neighborhood association meetings that this opportunity for home repairs was happening, we were very disheartened when we found out that it cuts off right at Elwood Street and doesn't go forward all the way to Lathrop Street. We have people who have lived in that area, who are lifelong resident taxpayers, and we're tired of being left out. So we're asking that we can get some help, some assistance. We have people in our neighborhood who need roofs on their houses, who need the help, and we were told that it was because we have more renters than homeowners in the area, which I don't feel that that's a very good answer for why we were left out of the boundaries. So we're asking for somebody to speak up on our behalf or help us, because we have people in need, and we've been working very hard to make our neighborhood better, and we just feel like it shouldn't be, the work that we've done should be rewarded in some way. And if we don't get the big lion's share, we do want something. We want some of these senior citizens who are in the neighborhood, who need roofs, who need some things in their house repaired. We want to ask for consideration. I don't think it's been announced or whatever, so we're asking that before it is announced, before it is official, that some recommendation be made to expand that border to go all the way down to Lathrop, Bendix, and Wilbur Street, to include the Far Northwest Side Neighborhood Association. And these are the members of the neighborhood who say we want help, and we're asking the council to help us. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Thelma Williams, and I live at 1748 North Olive Street. I have lived in that area since 1963. Very proud of that area. For some reason, when your house has been there that long, it deteriorated. Guess what? Lots of those homes were already there when I moved in. And between the older people moving out and the younger people, or new owners, I'd say, come in, and some people just don't have the money to fix their roofs or fix their gutters. You'd be surprised how many raccoons are tearing up these roofs. I'm telling you. And people don't have the money. And roofs, when someone came on my roof to tell me that $11,000 to fix the roof, it's like, what do? How do you get help to get this done, It's hard. We've worked, since I've been in the neighborhood association, we've worked hard to try and even say, pick up all the paper. The litter is a problem too. That we are trying to handle it ourselves. But we need help with the roofs and the gutters and other lots and houses that's vacant, whereas the grass is tall, and that's where the raccoons live. We need something. Let me tell you, we really need something to boost the people in that area. When we got those, thank goodness to our council person, we got some sidewalks and curbs put in. You'd be surprised how many people came up. How did you get that done? Where did you get? Who? First thing they would ask though, who? Because most of the time when you get an estimate from people, it's so expensive you can't put it together.
Right.
We need some taxpayer money in that area. Please help us. That's why we are here. I don't want to lose my people that's in the far Northwest Neighborhood Association. They came together to say tonight, please help us. Give us something to make the people wake up again, not just with sidewalks, but say, hey, your house is going to get something. Because let me tell you what we're doing. Last Saturday, I was in the rain all day. I cooked. I stayed up all night long. I got 2.5 hours of sleep. Making food for our neighborhood association people to put a roof on Margie's house. From Menards to everybody else volunteering their time and their money. Because I spent lots of money making food for people. We had a grand time. People passed, they waved, they asked us if we were selling dinners. It was a great time because we were on a lot under a canopy that a lady volunteered and gave us to stand out of the rain.
And your time is up.
We did it. We're going to keep doing it. We're not going to stop. We'll be back. Thank you.
Next, name and address.
My name is Ruby Rampold. I live at 222 East Brookside in South
Ms. Rampold, if you could move over, the little square thing is the microphone.
I can scream if you'd like. Anyway, I'm not quite as eloquent as the people who have preceded me, and I have to put my glasses on. I just prepared a little written statement to make it faster. There are numerous issues about which I have called 311. I would prefer to call departments directly, but of course the calls are diverted into the 311 system. I don't find the system to be very effective. Until just this past Friday, I have not received any callbacks. Late on Friday, there was a message which I returned this morning. Kathleen, the supervisor at 311, and I had a good conversation this morning, but I had already planned on coming here this evening. Some of my unresolved issues are, and about which I've called 311, the condition of the neighbor's property, effectively operating a scrapyard in his backyard, condition of the alley surface, trash and abandoned vehicles beside the alley, substandard outbuildings ready to collapse, the negative results left behind by the Safe Sidewalks project, and the disappearance of my yard waste bin. All of these have been made more annoying because the people working the lines at 911 or 311, excuse me, don't seem very well equipped to deal with channeling the requests to the proper people in the proper departments. Can any of you suggest any solutions to any of my problems? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. These will be the last two.
Samuel Brown, 222 Eastern Bar Street, in the city of South Bend. I would just like to address the council tonight on some issues that affects our city. I have a Western group called Citizens United, and we cover various areas from the school system to city government. And when things happen in our city that affects our city as a whole, I think it's only fair that we get as close to the facts as we can. We had an accident involving a public servant, and a citizen lost their life. I'm not one of these people who go out saying bad things and not knowing the facts. But a lot of people don't trust the South Bend paper and don't even read the paper. The Jews are leaders of our community. We need to set up a mechanism. I know you got your own website. We need to do a better job of it. I'm going to say that. Because these people that get out here that protect our lives have the same right and the same fairness as the citizens do. We need to know the facts. I'm not going at point and blank. I try to go get the facts. I love South Bend. I love the community. I pray for the people that was involved in a tragic situation, the one that lost a loved one, and also with the police officer going through. I love this community. The Jews are leaders. You are the one that can make it better. Get us what we need, so we all can sleep better at night.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. And last but not least.
Okay, my name is Lee Gloucester. I live at 2110 South High Street here in town. I lived here, we moved here when I was 3 months old, and outside of 7 years, I've lived here all my life, and I'm 70. This is a union issue. I want to come back to the Honeywell issue. This is a union issue, and I'm a union member. I'm a steward. But it's also not just a union issue. It's an issue about this community and of what kind of people we are. And that's why I'm asking you to make some kind of a statement, some kind of resolution calling upon the return of the health care to the Honeywell retirees. This is an issue that speaks to what kind of people we are. We all know about healthcare and what kind of a national issue this is now. Well, this is not just about healthcare, but it speaks to how we treat our elderly, okay? It speaks to the whole general issue of healthcare here. It speaks to what we are as a community. It speaks to what our politics are. It speaks to what our economy is, and it speaks to what our morality is. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Good night, everybody.
It was good.
Goodbye.